Hello, my name is Jeanette Roesner, and I am a teacher of the visually impaired. You may not know what a teacher of the visually impaired is, but we are special education teachers who specialize in working with children with low vision to total blindness in the educational setting. Teachers of the visually impaired also work with children from birth to adults in other settings. At the Montgomery County Educational Service Center, we follow an itinerant model, meaning that we come to your students in your school districts to serve them directly and in a consultative basis. My role on the educational assessment team is to provide an evaluation to school districts for children who are suspected of being considered visually impaired in the educational setting. The evaluations include a functional vision assessment and/or a learning media assessment. A functional vision assessment is a type of assessment that teachers of the visually impaired perform to see how a student is functioning in a classroom with their vision. If they are unable to see, we also look at how they are auditorily and tactily accessing the curriculum. This is a very important type of assessment that is often performed more than once in a child's educational career. It helps the teacher to track the things that the student is able to do visually, auditorily, and tactily, and to make adjustments to the things that they need in the classroom setting so that they can function like their same age peers. A learning media assessment allows us to see what types of materials that they may need in that classroom setting to be performing like their same age peers. Learning media assessments can include looking at materials such as large print materials, braille materials, audio materials, and even adjusting devices such as computers and other types of tablets. When we perform a functional vision assessment, there is a number of materials that can be used. A functional vision assessment requires us to look at the near and distance vision of a child. So some of the materials we use are screening tools like letters and numbers at distances up to 10 feet. This simulates what a person would be able to see at 20 feet. Some of the other testing materials that we may use will help us to see how the child is dealing with contrast in the environment. Contrast means that a person is able to see the difference between the foreground and the background using color. If they are able to see something more clearly when the backgrounds are darker or lighter. We also look at how the child is writing and how they are able to read and distinguish between the materials. In some situations, children are not able to perform those tasks on a daily routine. So we do use other materials like toys, audio books, tablets, and high contrast and low contrast tools that they may encounter in the classroom setting. When we're looking at what a child may need in a classroom, sometimes we recommend that a child uses low vision aids. Low vision aids can be anything from a ballpoint pen to a specific type of magnifier. Sometimes they require some other materials that are a little bit higher tech. They're called high-tech visual aids. High-tech vision aids can include tablets, can include CCTV devices, which help a child manipulate what they're seeing on a screen so they can see it more clearly. High-tech visual aids are often used in classrooms for near and distance viewing, but in some situations, some children can only use them for one or the other. When the assessments are completed, there is a report that will be generated. It's very important that we collect a lot of information about your child prior to issuing that report. The information that we like to include is any medical documentation, an eye report if there is one available, and anything that would affect the child in their educational environment. My report will include information for the school district so they know if the child will meet the IDEA eligibility criteria for a student with a visual impairment. In some situations, the visual impairment is the primary eligibility category. However, in other situations, it is secondary to other disabilities. Children who meet that criteria may be served by teachers of the visually impaired as part of their educational team. I look forward to meeting your child and working with them in the assessment process through the educational assessment team.